Hello, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Fundamentals. My name is Robert Bitto. Today I'm in a different part of my warehouse, a little bit of junk behind me here. I decided I would switch it up a little bit, so that's why I'm here across the hall from my main place of business, where I mostly store stuff. But today I want to talk a little bit about what is a solopreneur and what are the pros and cons of being one. So what is a solopreneur? A solopreneur is an entrepreneur who goes solo, who doesn't work with anyone else, who pretty much does what she or he pleases all day long. Well, not exactly, but you get it. It's someone who works alone, solopreneur. And for me, I've done the solopreneur thing off and on with my business that I currently own and with other businesses in the past. I have also had up to 3 employees helping me, so I know the difference between entrepreneurship as a solopreneur and working with other people. So as a solopreneur, what are the pros and cons? Well, if you like being alone, the pros are that you're alone all the time and you can do what you want. You're going to have podcasts going, music blaring, whatever. You can do what you want. You don't answer to anybody. You don't have to check in with anybody, right? And when you're not a solopreneur, you do have to check in with your employees. You do have to involve other people and work with other people. So when I say you don't have to check in with anyone, a lot of people think as an entrepreneur you don't answer to anybody. Everybody answers to somebody to some degree. So as a solopreneur, if you like to be alone, then it's perfect for you. You can do whatever you want. One of the drawbacks, if you're not a big, I hate to use the word introvert, and I shouldn't throw that out there. Introvert, someone who enjoys being alone. If you don't like that, then it's going to be really tough. So that's a drawback of being a solopreneur. I knew a woman once who decided to strike out on her own and be a solopreneur, a consultant, and she hated it because she was all about being on teams and collaborating. And I think also she felt a little lonely in her home office all day, just having her dog or whatever. But that's a drawback if you don't like to be alone. So another drawback of being a solopreneur is that you find yourself maybe needing help, immediate help, and there's no one around you to help you. Now, when you have employees, then you can, issue orders and ask for help to do things as things come up. But as a solopreneur, you have to take care of everything yourself. And for some people, that might be a little bit difficult, or it is a lot easier if you have people around you. But like I said, that can be a drawback because then you have all these people that you have to deal with, and your time can be taken away from you and pulled in different directions. But one of the things about that I want to continue with about help is that you can use virtual assistants and you can contract out so many things these days. There's so many gig sites where you can buy this and buy that. You don't have to hire an in-house graphic designer. You can go on a gig site and, buy such and such amount of time for this amount of money from someone halfway around the world. So to be a solopreneur now, in the first few decades of the 21st century, it's probably the best time to be one, because if you don't want to have employees, a lot of the things that you need to get done can be done like I said, halfway around the world. I used virtual assistants based in the English-speaking Caribbean. I think I hired 3 people who were in one little shack on the island of St. Lucia for about 6 months to do some boring data entry and compiling lists and all of this stuff. It was one woman and then 2 people working for her in St. Lucia. And because it's a third world country, but their native language is English. So it was perfect for what I needed done. So as a solopreneur, you can have like 20 people working for you, but they're not in your space. And so if you want to be alone, then that's perfect for you. And from an emotional standpoint, if you do like need a shoulder to cry on in the workplace, some people do that. If you're a solopreneur, you're there by yourself and you have to face crises on your own. There's no moral support that's around you. I mean, you could call a friend or whatever, but the people who are in it with you are not there because you're just alone. And so when you have employees who are proximate, who are across the desk from you in the same warehouse that you're in or whatever, then there's that emotional support that's there. There's also another dynamic that happens when you're not a solopreneur that may be lacking when you are a solopreneur, and that is the 2 heads are better than one philosophy or phenomenon, where you can be working on a project or whatever, you get input from one person, then they bounce an idea off of you, and then it keeps going, and then 2 other people are kick in their opinions, and then you have something greater than what you originally started with. Now, as a solopreneur, you got to talk to the voices in your head about that. And there are some people, interesting enough, who have talked about, some consultants that have talked about like an imaginary round table that you have in your head. I think Napoleon Hill talked about that, where you have these imaginary consultants, figures from history, let's say, or people in your own personal history you admire, and they're in your head giving you counter arguments and coming up with things. But that's very limiting. If you have other people around you, then more ideas pop up and you play off of each other. As a solopreneur, you just don't have that, even if you create some sort of imaginary round table in your head. So briefly, that's about it. I'm sure there are other points I might have missed. You can put that in the comment section, add to what I just said. I think I hit the basic points. If you're a loner, an incel, I hate that word, solopreneurship is the thing for you. If you like collaborating with people, you're going to have a hard time with that. And you might find it beneficial to hire people to be proximate to you. But everything has its pros and cons, and that's a little bit of pros and cons of being a solopreneur. So whatever you decide, I hope it works out for you. And remember to always work hard, and may all of your entrepreneurial dreams come true.